This is Michael Popok, Legal AF, as two candidates make their closing arguments to the American people about why they should be president, or in the case of President Biden, why he should be reelected. We have to compare and contrast. And one of the ways we can do that is to look at public statements about the exact same event and see which one lines up with your values, your morals, your understanding of the Constitution, and your patriotism. And what better way to do that is to see how Donald Trump and President Joe Biden handled 4th of July. If that's not a time for everyone to come together in patriotism and be united as a country politic and as an American people without regard to red or blue, except the red, white, and blue, I don't know what is. And yet, I think I'll lead with the one that is actually honors those that gave their life and blood to protect this country. Honor those in the armed forces and in the military, whether by draft or by voluntary joining, gave their life, their liberty, parts of their body, so that you and I could have a barbecue on the 4th of July and to preserve our constitutional republic. That's how the President of the United States, from his bully pulpit as the leader of the free world, should act and talk. And so we get, appropriately, from President Biden. President Biden said, as we celebrate the 4th of July, I'm grateful for the countless service members who are the backbone of who we are as a nation. Their service reminds us that democracy is never guaranteed and every generation must do something to preserve it. And that stands in contrast to the guy on the other side who's already lost to Joe Biden once, who never served in the military, old heel spurs that found a way with daddy's money to avoid the draft and avoid going to Vietnam and all the rest of it, even serving the National Guard, and who has a habit of criticizing and disparaging those who did serve, crapping on the military, crapping on people like a national hero like John McCain, who served 5 years in the Hanoi Hilton, being tortured after being shot down as a naval pilot. That's who you're thinking about maybe putting back into the office. Not our audience, but I'm speaking to a broader audience here. By contrast, what did Donald Trump have to say? You notice that Joe Biden never mentions Donald Trump in the middle of a 4th of July message to the nation. Why would he? That would be like comparing apples to oranges. That's like the old joke about, do you walk to school or do you carry your lunch? What does one have to do with the other? But to the person running for the presidency in the form of Donald Trump on his Truth Social, the only media platform that'll have him, he said, "Happy 4th of July to all, including to our highly incapable, quote, president," close quote, as if that's still in debate, that Joe Biden beat Donald Trump fair and square by 7 million popular votes and all the electoral votes that he needed. He then goes on to say that to our highly incapable president, wishing him this goodwill, well wish, who choked like a dog during the debate. Sort of a mixed metaphor. I don't know. I have a dog. Dogs don't really choke, but so he choked like a dog during the debate. He then disparaged Vice President Kamala Harris, who he's really scared of as well. And that combination of Biden and Harris is really something that Donald Trump is concerned about. I'm going to play you a clip in a minute related to that, where he says that she is our potentially new Democratic challenger. He's trying to pick who his opponent is going to be, hoping that Joe Biden backs down from the challenge. Joe Biden, who's been counted out a number of times, who basically won the presidency against Donald Trump from the basement. That's how little people thought of Donald Trump getting reelected. And we'll be seeing a lot more of the president. He went on because, he can't separate. There's no guardrails around his acting out and his lack of self-restraint, which is a terrible sign for somebody who wants to be the leader of the free world. He went on, Donald Trump went on in his holiday message to say that the corrupt prosecutors are working hard for crooked Joe, but it will never be enough. Make America great again. Got news for Donald Trump. America was great before he was elected. It's great now and even greater still under Joe Biden and all the work that he's done domestically and foreignly to keep this country safe and put it on solid footing for our future, our children's future, my daughter's future. Who did that? It wasn't Donald Trump. It was Joe Biden. And the fact that that Donald Trump cannot help himself because he has no self-restraint. He's all id and no ego. That he has to use this opportunity when he should be praising those that fought for the our original liberty, our original freedom, when we separated from, the imperial king in England in 1776. I read the Declaration of Independence every 4th of July just to renew my patriotism. Does Donald Trump know the difference between the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution? I doubt it. I just went back to Washington back in April with my wife to go pray, if you will, at the altar of the Constitution and the Declaration, to see them at the Library of Congress under glass, and to pledge my allegiance to them as a citizen and as a patriot. But if you want your presidential candidates where they call hardworking civil servants in the Department of Justice and other places crooked prosecutors, what makes them crooked? Because they caught you in committing crimes? Just because you may have gotten immunity for some but not all of your criminal acts doesn't mean you didn't do it. It just means you got a get out of jail free card by the hand-picked members of the United States Supreme Court that you picked. That's all it means. A person who gets a pardon, a person who gets clemency, a person who gets a sentence commuted doesn't mean he didn't commit the crimes. It just means he had a friend somewhere in the presidency that that gave him a get out of jail free card. Doesn't change the fact, if Donald Trump was back in office and he gave Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile, a pardon, which could have been likely given the connections between Trump and Epstein, does that mean that Epstein didn't, rape underage girls? No. Same here with immunity, same here with pardons. So pick your president, people. Do you want, and I'm talking to a broader audience here, not to our legal AFers or Meidas Mighty, those that are still on the fence. Do you want people who use the opportunity during the 4th of July to go after and attack his opponent and use, 6th grade sophomoric attack phrases? Did that make him feel good? I want to show you a clip now, right around the same time as he's posting these July 4th messages, these unhinged messages, when Donald Trump was caught on secret video, with his deer in the headlights son, Barron, sitting next to him, disparaging Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but in the same breath, showing that he's afraid of both of them. Let's play that clip again.
He gave me so much. How did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, fantastic.
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, He's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
It's so amazing.
It's just so fucking bad. So
I just can't imagine.
But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him, they can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out. Right?
That's it.
Have you heard about NAD+? It's one of the most important molecules in the human body to age well. NAD+ helps promote cellular energy, maintain healthy DNA, detect nutrients efficiently, supports detoxification, and supports your cellular health. Simply put, keeping your NAD+ levels high is vital to helping the body feel youthful. But did you know NAD+ levels plummet with age? So by age 50, most people's NAD+ levels are only half of what they were at age 20. Luckily, science has discovered a way to boost your NAD+ levels up to 50%, and it's called Qualia NAD+, a groundbreaking supplement from Qualia. The reason so many health experts use Qualia themselves, and the reason I'm proud to have them sponsor this podcast, is you're simply not going to find more carefully researched, life-changing nutritional formulas, especially for aging well. Qualia NAD Plus is a supplement that includes ingredients called NAD Plus precursors that your body can convert into NAD Plus to boost your levels up to 50%. Qualia NAD Plus is a clinically tested and naturopathic doctor formulated. Look, I want to feel 30 when I'm 58. That's why I'm staying at the cutting edge of aging research. And boosting my NAD Plus levels with Qualia NAD Plus is taking a huge part of how well I age and putting it in my control. After just a month on Qualia NAD Plus, I'm feeling support and vitality return that I haven't felt in years. To boost your NAD Plus levels up to 50%, go to qualialife.com/truth for up to 50% off and use code TRUTH at checkout for an additional 15% off. That's qualialife.com/truth for an extra 15% off your purchase. Thanks, Qualia, for sponsoring today's episode. So we're here on the 4th of July weekend. We're supposed to be celebrating with our friends and families, not just who's got the best hot dogs and hamburgers. But what have you done to contribute to freedom and to patriotism? I try to do something every day towards it. And I know that many of the legal AFers at Meidas Mighty do the exact same thing. We can't take liberty and justice and our constitutional republic for granted, or it will slip away into the ether. It was almost knocked over on Jan 6th by an outgoing president of the United States leading a rabble mob to attack and burn the Capitol and our cradle of our democracy. There's no other way to put it. And so if you thought Donald Trump was out of control, rogue, and almost inadvertently or accidentally or on purpose burned down our republic, what do you think he's going to do now that he's emboldened by his reading of the Supreme Court decision in Trump versus the United States, giving him some levels of immunity for different conduct of his? He'll argue that everything is official conduct in order to get a presumption of immunity, or everything is core conduct. The way I tell my clients when they write me to put attorney-client privilege at the top of all communications, Donald Trump is now going to have a stamp, an electronic stamp on all of his communications, all of his texts, all of his emails, if he ever got back into office, that said, this is core constitutional conduct. This is official conduct. To try to have the presumption of either absolute immunity or presumption of immunity. Donald Trump back in office with the way the Supreme Court has just interpreted the Constitution and presidential immunity is worse than before. And if that's not a wake-up call for people to go to the polls and vote for the other guy and vote for the president and vote to re-elect, I don't know what is. As I've said before on Legal AF and other places, if the Democrats and the independents and women and people who support women didn't get the message when the Dobbs decision came out 2 years ago last June, ripping away a constitutional right for a woman to choose had been enshrined in the Constitution for more than 50 years in Roe versus Wade and its progeny. And this new ruling, basically, which somebody like Donald Trump and somebody even worse that we haven't even imagined yet than Donald Trump sees that opinion not as a cautionary tale, but as an owner's manual, as a to-do list. If we don't think that's enough in the court of public opinion where it matters to vote against Donald Trump come November, I don't know what needs to happen. I'm fired up on this hot take. We need to be fired up. Protecting our democracy, our constitutional republic, is a contact sport. It's a participatory sport. It's not something we can do on the sidelines. We've got to get in the game. And we got to meet our challenge on that field. And I'm going to continue to do it the only way I know how, right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on a show we call Legal AF. We named it 4 years ago, but now you know why. We had a thought of what could happen in this country, and we wanted to capture that mood at the intersection of law and politics, and we did it right here on the MeidasTouch Network. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. We curate the top 4 or 5 stories at the intersection of law and politics: constitutional law, civil rights law, voter rights law, women's rights, reproductive rights, criminal law, that matters, civil law, you name it, we do it right here, only one place. And then we bring it to you the only way we know how, without blowing smoke or sunshine. we're uncensored. We're unplugged. We're we're unfiltered. No one tells me what to say here on the MeidasTouch Network. These are my thoughts, my opinions, my analysis as a seasoned litigator, trial lawyer, and a political student. And that's what I'm doing for you. The only way I know how. Come join us Wednesday, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Hot Takes just like this one, if you like what I'm doing, thumbs up and leave a comment. We'll open up a dialogue. We'll get into conversation. I promise you. So until my next Hot Take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.